Hi, everybody. Welcome to the last episode of the Global Concern podcast conducted by the Globe family of Royal College. To all those who are new here, this podcast series where we will be sharing the thoughts of our student community and we will be discussing the global environmental issues and we aim to inform and try to combat these environmental issues. So, I'm Ravina Hapuarachi and today with me is Dihen Vas, Chanul Thamesha, and Kusal Abesi. In the last week episode, we discussed about air pollution and plastic pollution. And in today's last podcast, we will be discussing about climate change and ozone layer depletion. So to start things off, we will be moving on to the topic climate change. So first, I would like to speak about what is climate change. Climate change refers to long-term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. These shifts may be natural, such as through variations in the solar cycle. But since 18,000s, human activities have been the main driver of climate change, primarily due to burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Burning fossil fuels generates greenhouse gas emissions that act like a blanket wrapped around the earth, trapping the sun's heat and raising temperature. Examples of greenhouse gas emissions that are causing climate change include carbon dioxide and methane. These come from using gasoline for driving a car or coal for heating a building, for example. Clearing land and forests can be also release carbon dioxide. Landfills for garbage are a major source of methane emissions. Energy, industry, transport, buildings, agriculture, and land use are among the main emitters. So now, I would like to invite Dihen Vas to talk about the causes of climate change.
So yeah, Ravina, what you say is really true. But I would the general scientific consensus is that global warming is mostly man-made. But one of the biggest factors for this is the burning of fossil fuels, which has increased the concentration of greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. But to combat this, 165 nations have signed an international treaty, the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, or UNFCCC. They have held meetings ever since with the aim of developing goals and methods to reduce climate change as well as adapt to its already visible effects. Now, Chanu, do you mind telling us some effects of climate change now that we know the causes?
Sure thing, Dihen. First of all, I must completely agree with everything you said just now. But now, as you said, now some effects for climate change are first of all hotter temperatures. As greenhouse gases concentrations rise, so does the global surface temperature. So now take for example in the last decade, in between 2011 to 2020, that decade was the warmest on record since the 1980s. Each decade has been warmer than the previous one. Nearly all of the land areas are seeing more hot days and heat waves, and then also we can also see more severe storms. So now destructive storms have become much more intense and more frequent in many regions. So as temperatures rise, more moisture evaporates, which result in extreme rainfall and flooding, causing more destructive storms. And the frequency and extent of tropical storms are also affected by the warming ocean. And then we can also see increased number of droughts. So now climate change is changing the water availability, making it scarcer in more regions. Global warming exacerbates water shortages in already water stressed regions and is leading to an increased risk of agricultural droughts, affecting crops and ecological droughts, increasing the vulnerability of ecosystems. And so, this warming also means we can see the rising ocean. The ocean soaks up most of the heat from global warming, and at this rate in which the ocean is warming has strongly increased over the past 2 decades across all depths of the ocean. As the ocean warms, its volume increases since the water is expanded and it gets warmer. Melting ice sheets also cause sea levels to rise, threatening coastal and island communities. And then the loss of species. Climate change poses risk to the survival of species on land and in the ocean. These risks increase as temperatures climb. Exacerbated by climate change, the world is losing species at a rate of 1,000 times greater than at any other time in recorded human history. 1 million species of animals are at risk of becoming extinct within the next few decades. And then we can also see a lack of food. Changes in the climate and increase in extreme weather events are among the reasons behind a global rise in hunger and poor nutrition. Fisheries, crops, and livestock may be destroyed or become less productive. With the ocean becoming more acidic, marine resources that feed billions of people are at risk. And then there's also more health risks. Climate change is the single biggest health threat facing humanity. Climate impacts are already harming health through air pollution, diseases, extreme weather events, forced displacements, pressures on mental health, and increased hunger and poor nutrition in places where people cannot grow or find sufficient food. And now that I've explained a few effects from climate change, now I'll hand it over to Kusal to explain to all of you watching some solutions for climate change. Over to you, Kusal.
First of all, Chanel, I think you're absolutely right, and it brings me to tears to hear these effects. There are some solutions, and the main ways to stop climate change are to pressure government and businesses to keep fossil fuels in the ground. Fossil fuels include coal, oil, and gas, and the more that they are extracted and burned, the worse climate change will get. Instead of this, we can invest in renewable energy sources. Changing our main energy source to a clean and renewable energy is the best way to stop using fossil fuels. These include technologies like solar, wind, wave, tidal, and geothermal power. We can switch to sustainable transport services because petrol and diesel vehicles, planes, and ships use fossil fuels. Reducing car use and switching to electric vehicles and minimizing plane travel will not only help to stop climate change, but it will also reduce air pollution too. We can improve farming and encourage vegan diets. One of the best ways for individuals to help stop climate change is by reducing their meat and dairy consumption. or by going fully vegan. We can restore nature to absorb more carbon. The natural world is very good at cleaning up our emissions, but we need to look after it as well. Planting trees in the right places or giving land back to nature through rewilding schemes is a good place to start. This is because photosynthesizing plants draw down carbon dioxide as they grow, locking it away in soils. We can protect forests like the great Amazon. Forests are crucial in the fight against climate change, and protecting them is a climate solution. Cutting down forests on an industrial scale destroys giant trees which could be sucking up huge amounts of carbon. We should always protect the oceans because they also absorb large amounts of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which helps to keep our climate stable, but many are overfished, used for oil and gas drilling, or threatened by deep sea mining. The main thing that we can do to reduce climate change is to reduce plastic waste. Plastic is made from oil, and the process of extracting, refining, and turning oil into plastic is surprisingly carbon intense. It doesn't break down quickly in nature, so a lot of plastic is burned, which contributes to emissions. Demand for plastic is rising so quickly that creating and disposing plastics will account for 17% of the global carbon budget by 2050. Now, let us turn our attention to another important topic, which is the ozone layer's depletion. And for this, I invite Ravina to give an introduction to ozone layer depletion. Ravina, over to you.
Thank you, Gosal. I completely agree with what you said. So let's turn our attention to another amazing topic, which is ozone layer depletion. So first, let's talk about what is the ozone layer. The ozone layer is a region in Earth's stratosphere where a high concentration of ozone gas is present. It is considered good in the stratosphere as it absorbs some of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiations and hence protects lives on Earth. However, in recent studies, scientists have observed changes in equilibrium between the formation and destruction of ozone due to the influx of various substances into the atmosphere which reacts with ozone and destroys it. So Dihe, now I invite you to talk about the advantages of ozone layer.
Yeah, so Ravina, the ozone layer basically protects the earth from harmful ultraviolet UV rays. And without the ozone layer, life on earth would be difficult to say the least. Plants won't be able to live, nor can the planktons grow, and no and the planktons that grow that live in the ocean, which are food for so many animals, would die. And with the weakening of the ozone layer, humans will be more susceptible to skin cancer, cataracts, and so many more diseases. So it really is really important for life in general. Now, Chanul, do you mind just telling us why the ozone layer is depleting?
Firstly, Dehane, it is very sad to hear that the ozone layer is depleting. So now, as Dehane and Ravina explained, the ozone layer is very important to us and to every living being on this planet. But now we can see since 1976 that since the atmosphere research studies have revealed that our ozone layer depletion has started because of the chemicals released by industries. And now the depletion of the ozone layer is thinning of the ozone layer that's present in the stratosphere. This happens as the chlorine and bromine molecules in the atmosphere meet ozone molecules in the stratosphere and destroy the ozone molecules. One chlorine molecule will damage 100,000 ozone molecules. The ozone molecules deplete at rates faster than they form. And now I'll hand it over to Kusal to explain about the main causes of the ozone layer depletion. Kusal, over to you.
Thank you, Chanu. Now, there are many causes of ozone layer depletion, but the main cause is a significant problem and it is due to a variety of causes. The major causes of ozone layer depletion are chlorofluorocarbons. Chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, are the primary sources of depletion of the ozone layer. Solvents, spray aerosols, refrigerators, air conditioners, and etc. emit CFCs. Nitrogen substances such as NO2, NO, and N2O are responsible for the ozone layer's depletion as well. Natural causes can also affect in this. Any natural pneumonia, such as sunspots or stratospheric waves, also degrade the ozone layer. However, it does not affect more than 1 to 2% depletion of the ozone layer. Volcanic eruptions are also the source of the depletion of ozone layer. I think Ravina can give us some ideas on how to prevent the ozone layer's depletion. Over to you.
Yeah, Kusal. I again agree with what you said. So, to prevent ozone layer depletion, what we can do is mainly avoid the consumption of gases that are dangerous to the ozone layer. Due to their content or manufacturing process, some of the most dangerous gases are CFCs, hydrocarbon, methyl bromide, and nitrous oxide. Also, we can minimize the use of cars to prevent ozone layer depletion. The best transport option is urban, bicycle, or walking. If you use a car to a destination, try to carpool with others to decrease the use of cars to pollute less and save. Also, we should not use cleaning products that are harmful to the environment and to us. Many cleaning products contain solvents and substances corrosive, but you can replace these dangerous substances with non-toxic products such as vinegar and barbican. Also, we can buy local products. In this way, you not only get fresh products, but you can avoid consuming food that has traveled long distances. As the more distance traveled, the more nitrous oxide is produced due to the medium used to transport the product. The last thing we can do is maintain air conditioners, as their malfunctions cause CFC to escape into the atmosphere. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we talked about two topics that must be taken with great importance: climate change and the depletion of the ozone layer. Through the Global Concern podcast, we have raised awareness for many important environmental issues globally. We all must take initiative in solving these problems, as it may be crucial for the existence of mankind. The key is to start small. Raise awareness in your own neighborhood. Set up a charity towards these causes and contribute towards making the world a better place. And in that note, I would like to end the Global Concern podcast, hoping to join you again with future projects. Huge thank you to all of you for tuning in. Cheers.